Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer. I am an occupational therapist with 36 years experience in pediatrics, so I have done the gamut when it comes to working with kids. So today I've been asked to talk about communication, nonverbal communication, and ways to enhance that with kids, some strategies, some techniques. Um, I have some videos to share with you, and if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat or you can unmute yourself and ask. I'm going to share my screen right now, and I am going to get my presentation up. So the first thing that we want to talk about is communication versus language. Obviously, language comes in later, and communication is the first thing that starts when we have babies, right? So when they cry, we respond to them. We know the difference after 6 weeks or so, give or take. The difference between whether they're crying because they're wet, they're tired, or they're hungry. So we're starting that communication dance. They cry, we respond, they then have a response in turn. So we're starting to do that communication dance at a very young age. As they get older, they start taking our hands to pull us to something because they don't have the words to tell us that they're hungry or they're thirsty, so they'll pull us to the fridge. And then later they'll point to things that they want. So, at about 18 months, if your child is not doing this, then we have some concerns. But prior to that, there's lots of nonverbal communication happening. So some things that we're looking at are eye gaze, right? Are they looking at us, or are they looking at the thing that they want so that we can determine what it is that they need? Facial expressions. I will show you a slide in a minute, and you can tell pretty quickly if the child is happy or sad or excited or scared just by their facial expressions. So we're also going to try and imitate some of our facial expressions so that they can understand those emotions. Body postures or body language is another one I'm sure you've seen. Those pictures where people are standing with their arms crossed. We understand that body language. Their lips are pursed, their or eyebrows are knit. We understand body language and postures pretty easily. Gestures. Again, that could be pointing. We could work on signing. Gestures in terms of what they're trying to communicate to us. And their behavior is often a communication of what their sensory need is. So if they're spinning or if they're rolling, that is telling us, their behavior is telling us what their sensory need is. So next slide is the babies. We do not need any verbal information to tell us exactly how these babies are feeling. If they're tired or they're hungry or they're excited or sad or complacent. I mean, maybe they're just in their happy place. We don't need words to show us how they feel. One of the huge things that we need to communicate is imitation skills. So things like very early on, like waving, we wave, they wave, we clap, they clap, we point, they point. So turn taking is one of those activities that we start in therapy at a very young age. And that is a big predictor in terms of how kids will do, because when they're taking turns, they're acknowledging that somebody else is with them, that they are sharing that joy, that involvement with another person. So in the beginning, a lot of times the turn taking is a little bit forced. And I have a video to kind of capture that for you. So watch for subtle cues. This is the crux of communication. This is reading what they are trying to say to us, and you get it wrong because it's nonverbal. So for example, I had a child that I was working with the other day, and we were using a slide, and he went to do something with the slide for a second and then broke into tears. So does that mean that he didn't want to play anymore? He didn't want the slide there. I didn't know. So he went down the slide again, and then he went back to the slide and moved it. So that's all he wanted, was the slide moved. Who knew, right? So it's those subtle cues that you learn to read, and the more you're with the child, the easier it gets. I'm going to actually kind of stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to go to a different screen and pull up a video. And this will be a good example of reading cues. Make sure the sound, and it is this one.
Watch. Like a parachute. Whoa! Go under. Good. Go under.
Yeah.
Come under.
I'm going to stop it there. So the parents are requesting that he go under, and he is reaching up. So he doesn't want to go under. He either wants the ball back up there or he wants to be on top. So they're misreading that cue of what's happening.
Whoa. Yay, come under. Come under. Here, come get the ball. Get the ball. Yay. Whee.
So they missed it again. He was trying to put the ball on top, and instead of waiting long enough for him to actually be successful with what he was trying to do, they missed that cue. Now, clearly he's still having fun, so there's no harm done per se, but it was not enhancing his communication. So let me go back to the slides and share again. So the subtle cues are huge. That is something that we really need to pay attention to as a parent. So the best strategies to help kids with nonverbal communication become more verbal is to pay attention. It's getting into those subtle cues. Pay attention to what your child is trying to say to you. And it's hard. It's not easy, and you don't always get it. So in that last example, it was easy to see that the parents were having a lot of fun, and he clearly was having fun, but they weren't necessarily paying attention to what he wanted. Getting his attention. Oftentimes I have parents who will call the kid's name and they don't respond, so they just keep calling the name. So my recommendation for parents is that we call their name, and when they don't respond, we get in their space. Hey, Joey, I just called you. We need to get our shoes. So you want to get in his space, get his attention, get on his level or her level. And maybe you can like make a mask so that they're looking at you, or you could hold the toy up by your eyes so they're looking at you, or the shoe, whatever it is. We really want to get their attention, which goes into play with the next one. So following through with requests, and I'll show you another video on that. The parents are asking them to go get their shoes, and they're not going to get their shoes. So they ask repeatedly. So what we're teaching the child is, you don't need to listen to me until I actually come over to you and either yell at you or pick you up. So my recommendation is that you make the request and then follow through. I'm going to stop sharing again, and I'll show you a video of the same family who is requesting, count how many times they request him to do something, and then they finally follow through. So coaching is big. Let's see. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to find the video of him crawling.
Yay! Come back. Come back.
Come back.
No, come here.
3.
Get the ball. Throw the ball to mommy.
There we go.
Throw the ball. Yay! Can you crawl through? Come here. Yay! Come on in. Come here. Yay! Can you crawl? Can you crawl? Here, crawl. Crawl through. Crawl.
There we go.
Go ahead. Yay!
So he clearly did not understand what she was asking. Crawl through, crawl through. He did not understand. So she physically put him through, crawl through. This is what I mean by crawl through. And that's okay. I mean, when they're not understanding, we have to help them understand that words have meaning. We're not just saying words. So following through with the request, including movements and games. These last 2 videos were perfect for that we really want them to include movement. It helps with motor planning. It helps with remembering how our body went through movements. And movement, the vestibular system is kind of the system that brings everything together and helps us remember how to do certain things and it helps us gain attention. It's got lots of benefits. So movement is huge. So keeping it playful and having fun is huge. If the kid's not having fun, jump ship. It needs to be fun, or else you don't have them hooked in and then we just have meltdowns. Give choices. So I love choices for lots of different reasons. And my recommendation is 2 choices. Otherwise it gets overwhelming. So do you want the red shirt or the blue shirt? Do you want milk or juice? Do you want Pop-Tarts or cereal? So that they are constantly scanning their environment, they're making choices, they're pointing, they feel like they've got some more independence, some buy into what we're doing. Do you want to play with the bubbles or do you want to play with the ball? If they make the choice, it's much more child directed. So, and then they're communicating with the preferences. So choices happen all day long. And we start with real objects and then we move towards pictures. So we might have pictures of like a picture of the Itsy Bitsy Spider song versus Wheels on the Bus. Which one do you want? Because they might not understand if we just say, would you prefer Wheels on the Bus or Itsy Bitsy? But if we had 2 little pictures, then they could pick. And even if they picked the wrong one, maybe they picked what they didn't want, we would still do it because they need to understand that you picked this and then this happens. So it's consequences kinds of thing. The next one is playing dumb. So I have parents often, if the child pulls them to the refrigerator and the parent is 100% sure that they're ready for their milk or their juice, I have them pull out the juice or the desired object and then a completely different object. So ketchup or mustard, something totally wrong, so that the kid can then communicate more. No, I don't want that. I want juice. So that it's constant communication. Another idea is to wait or pause. A favorite activity of kids that I work with is typically a blanket swing. So we will do the blanket swing and then we'll put them down and wait for them to communicate that they want more. So it's not just, we are not thinking for them, we're not talking for them, we are letting them make decisions. And sometimes that waiting feels like forever, but it's a very important piece of communication. We need to let them communicate. And it might not be the specific word, but if it's any kind of sound, we use ready, set, go a lot. We'll do ready, set, and then pause and wait for them to say go or make some kind of gesture for go. So waiting is huge. And keeping the language simple. So for example, when we do bubbles, we'll do pop, pop, pop. We'll do it over and over again. Or if we're reading a book, we will just, instead of counting the frogs, it'll just be frog, frog, frog. Or if we're playing what's inside the box, we will open the shoebox to pull out a toy and then put the lid back on so they can say more, or they could say open, or they could say toy. So there's lots and lots of repetition. Repetition is key. Playful obstruction. That is where, so for example, they're reading a book or they're looking at a book and they want to be in their own little bubble. So we will cover the book with our hands and they'll push us away. And we know that they're pushing us away to say, no, I want to be left alone and that's my book. But we will lift our hands up and say, peekaboo bear, or whatever the picture is on the book. So we're in their space and it's still playful, but we're obstructing what they want to do. So doing things wrong on purpose, we're sabotaging. So for example, I'll put socks on their hands, or I will put their shoes on my feet. And that's just another way for them to communicate, no, that's not how that works. So we want constant communication, right or wrong, of how things go. The next one is validating their feelings or emotions by body language. when we looked at the pictures in the beginning, it's pretty clear when they don't like something. I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I have another video. This is a great example of this little girl had just had her pacifier taken away, and she was very upset. And you'll see that the mom is offering to be consoled, but the child is saying that that's not what she wants, and the mom is totally respecting that. So let me share again and get to the video. It is this one.
Are you mad? Oh, I know. Oh, mad. Oh, mad. Are you mad? Yeah, mad.
Yes.
So mad. Do you want a hug? No? Oh! Yeah. Do you want your necklace? Are you done? Oh, okay. Should we tickle? What if I come and tickle? What if I come and get you? You're so mad. Yeah. Oh, mad. Oh, you're so mad. Does that feel funny? Does that feel funny? You mad? Oh. Are you done?
So that was a great example. Mom had given her choices. Do you want a hug? Do you want your necklace? Do you want tickles to get her out of it? And the little girl was mad. No, that's not what she wanted. She wanted her pacifier. We knew that. But this is the safe space that we don't avoid those meltdowns now, because at 2, this little one was 2, at 2, it's easy to deal with, and we're her safe space. So let's talk about different strategies, or let's give her different strategies for how to get out of this, as opposed to when they're 12 or 14 or 18 and huge and it's much more volatile. So that was a great example. And then she ended up on the chair and we did some spinning. Yeah, and then she moved on. So that was a really nice example of validating their feelings, their emotions, their body language, and teaching them strategies on how to calm themselves down. That you say no. I mean, I'm sorry, you cannot have the pacifier now. That's what it was all about. The next one, and we touched on it a little bit already, was about the turn taking or the trading or the sharing. And I have another video of the same child. And we are just now getting to the point where she is playing with toys and we are doing the forced turn taking. So you'll see in the video that mom has her hand there to take the car. And it's not that the child's handing her the car, but the mom is taking it. And then we're saying, oh, mama's turn, your turn, my turn, so that she's starting to understand that reciprocity. So let me share my screen again, get another video up here. The same little girl.
Mama's turn. Oh, this guy's stuck. Maddie's turn. Oh, thank you. Mama's turn.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Maddie's turn.
Visual tracking.
Mama's turn.
Ready.
Woo!
Set. Go.
Want to fix it? Good job.
Go, go, go.
Here.
So that was a good example. We want to keep that language simple. Let me turn that off, sorry.
Ooh. Can I?
Sorry. But that was a great example of keeping the language simple. Go, go, go. And we didn't have eye contact, but she had a really nice visual tracking with that toy. So it was clear that she was enjoying it, and she was okay with mom getting in her space. So for these little ones, like, we are constantly trying to prepare them for school, and where kids are not so forgiving, that they want the glue and they take the glue. How do you handle that? Or how do you handle it if it's your child who's grabbing the glue? So we want to practice all of those skills before they get into a school situation. Let me go back to my thing. Here we go. So these are some of my very favorite activities at very young ages for lots of reasons. So bubbles. I have another video I'll show you. And what I like to do with bubbles, because kids are hooked in so quickly and so easily, is that we get them hooked in with the bubbles, and then we stop and have them communicate that they want more. And that playful obstruction could be that you're trying to get the lid off of the bubbles and you just can't do it. So they have to try again. And if they can't do it, then they have to communicate again that they need our help. So it's that constant dance and give and take. So hopefully I'm not making anybody dizzy, but I'm going to stop sharing again and show you the bubble video. So the coaching I did with the family is that I wanted them to stop, because you'll see in this video that the kid is in his own little world. So we wanted to stop the bubbles so that he would come and communicate that he wanted more. So get that going. We checked in to see if more were coming, but we didn't wait long enough for words. So you can see that it's a very engaging video, and he super loves the activity, but there's very little communication. He checked in once with the eye contact, but there could have been more opportunities for him to ask for more, to make a noise, for bubbles, something like that. So we really want to keep on encouraging that kind of sabotage, that making him work for what he really wants. And when you have him hooked in with something like bubbles, it's easy because he's hooked in. The next one is the blanket. So I love blanket for lots of reasons, and I have several videos with this. We do blankets with blanket swings and blanket pulls and hide and seek. So I will show you those videos because they're just fun. All there is to it. These kids are darling, right? So here we did see the one already with the blanket forts, and here's another one with the blanket swing.
More. Good job asking for more.
There's the four.
Yay! A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next time, won't you sing with me? Yay!
So I like that it had a beginning and an end. So he knew that he was going to end. Let me get the other video.
My head. Is it my head? Is that my head? Oh, my head. Where's Mama? Where's Mama? Yay! You want that?
And you can see how excited that little girl was to find her and how long she stuck with that activity. And mom's language was super simple. Peek, where's Mama? Like to keep her going, but Mom did not help her out at all. And that was perfect. That was just exactly what we were looking for. Get back to the, so chase is another beginning game that we like a lot, that I'm going to get you. And then you stop while you're chasing and the child looks at you that they're ready for more. And then you keep going. The hide and seek, which is kind of what we did with the blanket. Music is key. Music, there are different centers in our brain that are activated when we play music that is different than spoken words. Kind of up there, there's some research that shows that animal sounds are highly, that kids learn those first, and they maybe because of the pitch, they are more attuned to it. I guess that's what I'm looking for. So using music, using animal sounds. Playground is another one. We've already talked about some of the movement piece of it. So slides and swings are hugely important and engaging. Balls, like we did on the blanket, we could do the parachute kind of ball thing. We could kick a ball, we could roll a ball, we could sit on a large therapy ball and have them bounce or roll. And same thing. So if we're bouncing the child on the therapy ball, bounce, 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 wait, try and get eye contact, a sound, a movement. Maybe they're like going to start moving their own body. That is their cue to us that, hey, I want more. And then you could do it again, stop, and go on. Puppets are another one. Puppets are great for using that different voice. So a lot of them have tactile features, but they also have facial features. So they can, the children can explore that, and you can use your different voice for puppets. Kids love that. Books are great for the visual scanning, the pointing, the naming. Keep that language simple. And here's my best advice. This is the crux of it all. This is what I tell my parents. Reduce technology and battery toys. There are millions of studies out there. I don't know about millions, but there are many studies out there that show that kids that do not have battery toys are much more creative, have better language, because they need to kind of create their own fun and their own play. So the technology, they say nothing under 2. But the technology changes how our body produces melatonin, and it changes how our visual perception of things. So technology is something that I really discourage for my kids with sensory processing disorders or have sensory processing problems. When the child hits you or kicks you or calls you names, don't take it personally. They just have no other way to express it at this point, and you're their safe person. So try not to take it that they're attacking you. It's just that they're angry and don't have another way to say it. Have expectations, encourage that independence, work on that cleaning up, sorting dishes, unstacking the dishwasher, putting clothes on, feeding themselves. There's no excuse. Sensory processing disorder or autism is not necessarily an excuse that they can't be independent. So have those expectations. Wait a long time for them to tell you exactly what they're trying to say. Don't speak for them. Don't avoid the meltdowns. The meltdowns are going to happen, so let's give them a safe space and let's give them some strategies. And the only way to do that is to have them in a meltdown so we can teach them some strategies. Sleep is key for everyone. Figure that out, whether we need to call in some reinforcement, keep that bedtime routine pretty rigid so that they can get sleep, reduce that technology, work with a therapist so that you can all get some sleep. Everyone will be in a much better mood. Minimize distractions. So if you have a TV in the background and music going on and people talking, and you're trying to call your child over to give them some instructions, there's way too much distractions. So reduce the visual, auditory, think about all those distractions that are happening in a house, and try and reduce those so that you can get their attention. Complete one activity before moving on. A lot of times my kids are flitting from activity to activity. They are, they're playing with the ball and then they see the car over there, so they go to the car. Have them, oh, you want to play with the car now? Great, let's finish the ball and then move on to the car. It really helps with attention span and working on completion of activities. Say what you mean. So if you say to the child, and we saw the one video of, let's go get your shoes, or crawl to me, bring me the ball, say it, and then have them go do it so that they understand what you're saying. And minimize your no's. Keep your no for like dangerous situations. They're running out into the street, or they're slamming a door in their finger or something that they're really going to get hurt. So if they're asking, for I don't know, technology, let's say, because that's a big one in my in my world. It's no. You've said it once, you're done, and move on. We don't need to say it 100 times. And sometimes it's, oh, you want technology, and we might have a picture schedule for them to see. Oh, that's tomorrow, or that's after lunch, or that's whatever. But we don't have to use that word no all the time. Keep your language simple. Instead of giving them a long drawn out, go get your shoes so we can go to the store and buy the groceries. It's really just shoes or shoes on. We need to keep our language simple. Read their behavior as sensory need. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, that if they are spinning, that's their sensory need. So we can increase the frequency, duration, or intensity of that need, and that will help them crave it less. That's what the study shows. So that if they're spinning, we can sit them on a sit and spin, or we can pick them up and spin them around. Then they will crave that information less because they're getting exactly what they need. So sensory play is child directed. That there is they're telling us, they are in charge. They're telling us exactly what their bodies need. So if they're hitting, it might mean that they need some deep pressure. Or if they're holding their head, that means they might need pressure there. So read their behavior as their sensory need, and then give it to them. If they're banging their head, you have to determine if they're banging their head because it's a sensory need, or if it's a meltdown, or if it is behavior related. And typically the way to tell that is if they really want the iPad, they start banging their head and you give them the iPad and they stop, that's behavior. If it's a sensory need, it'll continue on. So I'm just saying that I'm not telling you to hit their head, but let's give them some deep pressure in other parts of their body. And all of that movement and outdoor play will help with that. And the last one is to have fun. Like, it's just super important that it's child directed and they're fun. I have one more video of a mom alone doing a blanket swing, because I know that sometimes we don't always have two people available. So I just want to show how that's done. Because this really helps regulate the kids. And this mom uses this before bedtime, actually. So.
Woohoo! Is that fun?
So you can hear how her language is super simple, and the mom is just repeating what she hears from the little girl to just try and get some more language that way. I really like how she is doing just what the little girl wants. Like, she's clued into this kid so well that she knows exactly what she's asking for. And that's it. Parents know their kids better than anybody, or caregivers, whoever is with the child. They're the experts on their kid. They know. Do you have any questions for me, Mary? I feel like I've talked a lot.
Yeah, I do actually, and I'm thinking this might be useful to someone else. We recently took my grandson out of preschool because he was hitting other kids when they came close by him and started playing with the toys he was playing with. And it broke my heart because when the other child came next to him, you could see the anxiety and the despair and the little hand motions. And I could tell what was going to happen next. This little boy was going to get clobbered. And so we prevented it. But do you have any suggestions? Because I understand this is not uncommon.
Yeah. It's totally not uncommon. Yeah, so sometimes kids that, I don't know if he's tactically defensive, sometimes they do that fight or flight reaction because they're not sure what's going to happen. The kid is approaching him, he's coming close. So before he touches me, I'm going to touch him. I'm going to keep you away from me. So I think that there are strategies in preschool. We've talked about kids having boundaries. So we talk about an arm length away, right? Like this is as far as you can go. You can't go to that kid. We talk a lot about trading. So if the kid is approaching him and wants his toy, nope, he has that toy now, but maybe he wants to trade. So if they can trade toys, that's one idea. Sometimes we give choices of, do you want to the child who's holding the toy, do you want to give him your toy now or in a few minutes? And if they don't answer, we answer for them. Okay, well, in a few minutes, you can give that toy to Joey. So we'll set a timer and then the timer goes off and then they can trade the toy. But there's a lot of education that has to go on with everybody. Teachers, special ed teachers, staff, to kids as well, to other families as well. So it's not just a one situation thing. And that's communication is huge in terms of expectations.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. And
Is
then,
he in a special ed class?
his mom is getting him into special ed now. He's going through all the testing and he's getting there, but not yet, no.
Okay, because that will help. Class sizes are smaller,
Mhm.
teachers are trained,
Mhm.
and then your other staff will go in, the speech therapist, the occupational therapist will go in to help support all of that.
Okay, great. And then one more thing, I wanted him to know how to do things the same as, at the same level as other kids his age. And I was trying to teach him to ride a bike. And he learned how to ride a little scooter. It took a while. But, it kind of seems like they're not interested, but that doesn't seem to be really true. I put his feet on the pedals and then we pedal together. I mean, is that appropriate, do you think?
Yeah, so riding a bike is a 5-year-old skill. I'm not sure how old he is. Riding a bike without training wheels is a 5-year-old skill.
Okay.
I've had a lot of success with those balance bikes. A Strider bike that's the name brand, but a balance bike, it doesn't have wheels, but they get their balance.
Oh,
So that's something to look into. I really like, yes, I think you need to have expectations. This is what other kids your age are doing, and it's an expectation. It might take him longer to learn, but that's okay because he'll learn it. It just might take him longer because he's not naturally doing those things on his own. He needs an adult to help him. So yeah, we just need to put in the hours, unfortunately. It's a lot of hours. But I've seen it over and over, when they finally figure out how to do these things, they are so proud. And you could just see it on their face.
yes,
So,
yes. Oh yeah, I just love it. Yeah, it's okay. All right, well, those are my questions. Thank you so much. It was very helpful and I
oh, well,
enjoyed
good,
it. Thank you.
good. You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye.